My name is Dwayne Hart. I'm a 20-year veteran of the United States Navy. Cybersecurity is my passion. Cybersecurity is what I do, but if we take cybersecurity and we break it apart, some of the things that I do is that I love to write. Writing is my hobby when it comes to cybersecurity, as well as speaking. And also, too, one of the other areas that I like to do is to educate the community on cybersecurity, because I think it's at most important. Because I don't want to just be the smart person. I want everybody else to be successful.
My name is Dannon Vaughn. I'm with Ransom Shield. Established our company here in Atlanta in 2019. I have a background in cybersecurity, and our goal is to merge physical and cybersecurity and reach out to our community to help others in the cybersecurity journey.
You know, that's a great story because my story goes back to when I was in the military and, you know, working in a lot of the technical roles. But then after I retired out of the military, I was working for a government contracting company. And then one day, a friend of mine was walking through the office, and he had a large book that had on the top of it, CISSP. So I picked up the book and I started to look into it, and I said, hey, I think I want to branch into cybersecurity, because my first passion was just to work into being a network engineer, right? But then I saw the book and I started to read it. Then after that, I started to get engaged with cybersecurity. But for the most part, I had already had experience by actually being in the military. But then when I read the book, I said, okay, I think I want to go through with this. And I studied and I passed the certification. And then everything started from there.
I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and my background started off in high school, just working. I was an artist who wanted to move into computers. And I did that early on in college, working as an internship. Through that process, working in different corporate environments, I was able to get with a startup company, which was pioneering in online security at the time. Internet security was the name. And at that time, I was more in operations. As I got more into the operations and understanding the need to secure computers, the internet worldwide, my interest grew in that area, and I continued to develop my skill set and grow in that field.
You know, I've always stated that military veterans have an advantage over regular citizens when it comes to cybersecurity. Because in the military, all of us learned about combat warfare. And combat warfare and cyber warfare are best friends. So I would say that the journey was quite simple, because when I came out of the military, I started to work for the government, and I had a secret clearance. So that gave me the leverage to move into cybersecurity. But throughout that journey, there were some times that I hit some bumps in the road because of the idea of not really knowing exactly which area of cybersecurity, you know, I wanted to focus into. So what I had to do was to find my path and, you know, to find my passion. But I will say that the journey was fun, and now, you know, the journey is still going on.
Well, again, you know, starting off not knowing a whole lot, just, you know, had the aptitude for computers. It was really just, you know, my interest. So a lot of the things were just step by step. I had some good mentors who kind of took me under their wing, showed me different opportunities or paths in security. And, you know, I was focusing more on, at the time, data center security. So from there, started moving into the software, and then again, expanding across, you know, internet security as well.
I had a conversation with many of the friends, and they asked that same question. And I often tell them research. Here's the reason why. I had challenges because I was kind of like the person that wanted to jump into the ocean, but, you know, I didn't have a life vest, right? So I was always trying to be a business owner, but was I committed to the process? You know, there were some things that I had to learn. And one of those areas that I had to learn was, how do I transition technology into a business context, right? Because if I'm talking to another company, right, I can't really talk about all the technical work, but I can talk about how can the technical work help businesses grow. And I always have that conversation with the youth and anyone else that is trying to come into the cybersecurity industry. You know, you need to learn business first. Business start early. I don't care if you're 18, 19 years old, or so if you're in college, learn business, because you never know how your career may change.
A lot of times with entrepreneurship, you're looking at, you know, where is my money coming from? And, you know, that was kind of like my first step, was like, well, you know, how do I generate income outside of a job? And so on the entrepreneur side, it's, you know, getting all your paperwork in order, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs who just, I'm going to start a business, but then when they go to get contracts, they need, you know, insurance, you know, you need to have things in place like, you know, your paperwork to do business with government. So a lot of those were some of the challenges of getting the right paperwork in, getting things in place so that I can start, you know, getting some of that revenue coming in.
If you think you want to start it someday, I would say start it now. And I would say that if you're interested, start now, go to conferences, go to events, but understand that you have to stay committed to the process, all right? Because time, energy, and resources are very important.
Well, I'll say one thing, look outside of the box, because cybersecurity right now is, you know, it gets kind of inundated, because if you look at the amount of companies that are out here now, there are, you know, hundreds of cybersecurity companies, all of them trying to do a little bit something different. But here's one insight that I have, and that is our infrastructure. So the infrastructure that we built over the last 20 years is starting to age. All that's going to have to be redone. So a lot of entrepreneurs are getting into, you know, cabling. They're getting into doing things to rebuild our infrastructure, because even fiber optics start to fail after a certain amount of time. So with all the data and things that we're using, I see cybersecurity growing, the things that have to run all the systems on the back end, but also our data centers are going to be increasing, as well as all that infrastructure. So over the next 10 years, people will be doing things more than just behind the computer. They will be doing things like, hey, on site, you know, checking physical things as well to ensure our cyber safety. Well, I say throughout the process, one thing that I always did was reach out to the community, you know, because I knew coming in, there were some things that I was in the right place at the right time. So there was opportunities for me where I was able to just be in that room and have that opportunity. But through that process, I knew there were people who wanted that same opportunity. So through my journey, you know, I opened up the doors for many other people to be able to have careers in security, also to mentor others as well.
Do your research, because what you don't want to do is to waste your time, energy, and resources trying to go down a career path and then realize a year later that it's not for you.
You know, as I mentioned earlier, starting a cybersecurity company or, you know, any business is what makes it different. You know, don't look at what someone else is doing and say, I'm going to mimic them. Look at what is it that would allow you to stand out. The similar, if you're in class and you're doing a report, you know, that report that gets you an A may not be because you had everything directly lined up. It could be, hey, they brought some information that was new. The teacher actually got something out of this versus just like, oh, okay, I see they, you know, did everything correctly. So I would say be prepared to make mistakes, be prepared to, you know, take chances and risk. And if you do that, you'll start to see the things that start to line up, and then that's where your success will start to come.